Hey, it's Mirna from Happiness Academy. Welcome to the Happiness Academy podcast, a place where you can discover practical, simple, yet effective tools from the science of positive psychology. You're at the right place if you're looking to live a life of well-being and joy, staying resilient when facing any challenges, and incorporating a sense of meaning in things you do. Ready? Let's dive in. Today, we are talking about one of the most powerful toolboxes to manage our energy and our emotion, and that is our breath. Our breath is a unique thing we have available that sits in the crossroads between our emotions, our body, and our mind. And it has a big influence on all of it, and we can use it as a toolbox to work and adjust any of these areas in many different ways. So today we are exploring, with just a brief intro, how to use our breath in a more intentional way to create emotional or mental states that we wish to create. And then I'll share with you 5 specific exercises of using your breath in different ways for any goal you're looking to achieve. Exercises will be short and sweet and a little bit diverse, and I will invite you to test them all 5 and then choose the ones that work for you. So when we talk about using our breath, the first rule of thumb you need to know and be aware of is that it's all about seeing how we balance between inhale and exhale. And it sounds very simple. The general rule of thumb is every time we do bigger, deeper, stronger inhales, that gives us more oxygen and that basically energizes our body and raises our energy. On the other hand, when we do an exhale, the more we can extend it, the more we can slow it down, the more we can do it, as a deeper exhale, longer exhale, the more we will relax and our body will relax. As most of breathing exercises is often oriented around relaxing and calming down and maybe working with stress, because of that, often in different breathing exercises, including in some that we share today, you will notice that there is more of this focus on exhale and on kind of that relaxation part. However, being aware of difference between focusing on inhale and extending the inhale or focusing on exhale and extending it and deepening it, you can actually choose how to adjust certain exercises or breathing pattern to you. Now, with that in mind, we can also say that one of the easiest ways of using your breath for more well-being is simply to try to remember a few times through the day to just take a couple of deep, long breaths with a little bit of extended exhale. Simply because most of us are used to breathing too shallow and too fast and not really giving our body enough of oxygen. And even that can create a really big difference in how relaxed we are, how we are less stressed. So just kind of doing, 4 or 5 times, couple of times per day. That's the simplest. You don't have to go for structured exercises. You don't have to go and explore every technique that exists. You can just focus on doing a few of these breaths, and this will already extend your energy for the day so much. The difference will be really, really big if you're not doing that yet. Now, having that said, of course, structured exercises have their role in it as well. For the exercises I'm sharing today, they're mainly related to relaxing a bit more or to also focusing better. They're a little bit different between each other. Some are more simple, some are a bit more structured. And again, I would invite you to experiment and test different ones because that's the only way to actually feel which one works well for you. They're all fairly short. They're all like 10 breaths with some counting involved and fairly straightforward. I do want to invite you, if you're experimenting and trying out a certain breathing exercise, to always do that in a way that before you do it, you briefly check in with yourself. So you basically just say, hey, how do I feel right now? What's my emotion? What's my energy? How does my body feel like? So just how do I feel right now? And then do the exercise just the first time you're doing it. This is a good thing to do. And then after the exercise, check in with yourself again and say again, hey, how do I feel now? What changed? What changed about my energy, what changed in my emotion, in my body? Maybe nothing, maybe a lot, maybe subtle. Usually it's subtle but important changes. So first time you're doing the exercise, it's a really good idea to test this, to try, do this check-in before and after, because only that way will you really notice which exercise was more effective. Because very often once we change your state, and we get more relaxed, we're like, sure, that's how I was before as well. But we miss to notice that there was some part, maybe, I don't know, tension in our neck, or maybe a little bit lower energy, or something that we didn't even notice that the exercise actually changed. So with that test, you can choose the best exercise for yourself. And after that, I would suggest choosing one and then committing to it for a week or several weeks, doing that exercise maybe 2 times per day. Each of them takes like between 2 and 5 minutes, so it should be easy. Doing each couple of times per day and just making these exercises, the chosen exercise, not all 5, a part of your routine. It will be really, really helpful for you to have it as a tool for your emotional management, for calming down when you need, to get more focus, to build your energy, whatever it is that you want to achieve. So with that, let's go into exercises. The first one is quite well known. It's called 4-7-8. And it basically just says, for each cycle of breath, do an inhale. And while you're doing it, count to 4. Then stop, hold your breath for count of 7. And then exhale for count of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in. Holding for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then exhaling slowly, slowly, slowly for count of 8. And then just doing that for at least 5, ideally around 10 breaths. And with this part of kind of hold, this exercise makes you a little bit more grounded. With this extended exhale, it makes you more relaxed as well. So it's a little bit similar to just extending the exhale and doing a regular deeper breathing, but that hold element also gives you a bit more feeling of focus, a bit more of kind of self-control. So try it out. Not to overcomplicate it. Feel free to pause the video right now and try it out right now, just for 3-4 cycles of breath, and see how you like it. Now, the second exercise, it's a little bit more for people who like to be a bit colorful and visual and creative and imagine things. And it's simply the exercise where with each breath in and each breath out, we're imagining what are we breathing in or breathing out. And it's great to set intention at the beginning. What do you want more of? And I'll give you an example. Maybe I want to feel more calm and less tense. So I'll do the exercise by breathing in calm and breathing out tension. How does that look like in practice? While I'm breathing in, I'm saying to myself, hey, I'm breathing in calm. And while I'm breathing out, I simply saying to myself, without the voice, obviously, in my head, I'm saying to myself, hey, tension is coming out. And I just do slow, deep, long breaths in and out. While I'm breathing in, I'm imagining calm. And while I'm breathing out, I'm imagining tension, letting go, tension, releasing tension. Now, you can imagine that in a more verbal way by saying every time that sentence to yourself. I'm breathing in calm, and then I'm releasing tension. Or you can do it also more visually. You can choose that, calm for you looks like, like a white light. So you can imagine every time you're breathing in nice white light. And then while you're breathing out, if tension looks like a gray cloud, or maybe it looks red for you, or however you want to imagine it. You just imagine that you're letting go of that red or gray or any other color you identify tension with. So you could also combine and think of both words and images. If you don't have your own word or image in mind right now, just try it out for a couple of breaths with calm and tension with the words, saying yourself, breathing in calm, breathing out tension, and try it for a couple of breaths. It is even better if you can pinpoint the word in each situation that work better for you. So it can be even like I'm breathing in energy, creativity, clarity, inspiration, whatever, positivity, whatever you choose. And I'm breathing out, negativity, stress, overwhelm, lack of clarity, find the better words preferably for that one. Like fuzziness or anything else. Now, you do want to choose a word for in and a word for out, and then stick with that same 2 words throughout 10 cycles, so 10 breaths in and out. So you kind of actually get the effect of tuning into it and really settling into it. But each time you do the exercise, you could choose different keywords. You don't have to always work with the same one. It's not any muscle you're strengthening. It's more to manage the state in the moment that this exercise helps. So that was exercise number 2. If you haven't tried it yet, I would suggest stopping the video, do a quick check-in. How am I doing? doing a round of breathing in calm, breathing out tension, and then checking in again. How am I doing? And then come back for exercise number 3. Now, the exercise number 3, again, builds on the basis of breathing in and breathing out and extending the exhale to relax more. But it leads you in that in a little bit more gradual way. So you start, for example, with breathing in for count of 3 and exhaling for count of 6. So exhale should be double, right? And then you do that for maybe 2 breaths. If you realize it's a bit challenging today, you are breathing really fast and shallow, do it for more, 3 or 4 breaths. But let's say 2 are a good rule of thumb. 2 breaths with breathing in for 3 and breathing out for 6. Then, in the next 2 breaths, you do 4-8. So breathing in for count of 4, breathing out for count of 8. And then in the final part, you start breathing in with maybe 5-10. Or you choose which number you want to build up to, and what feels comfortable, not too challenging, but maybe mildly challenging to make you focus a bit more. So finishing with 5, count to 5 for inhale, count to 10 for exhale would be a good rule of thumb, I would say. And then you can just stay with that for maybe 4 or 5 breaths. So in total, you still did around 10 cycles of breath. First 2 or 3, 6, then 2 or 4, 8, and then maybe 4 or 6 breaths or 5, 10. Test it out. It's also just, it brings the focus back. It calms you down a little bit. It re-energizes the body a little bit with oxygen. And it's so simple. This one you can really do, driving, in the bus, in the meeting even. Nobody needs to know. You can do it in many, many ways without taking a dedicated time for a big practice, right? So I would suggest stop the video, try the exercise or podcast whenever you're listening. Try the exercise. Remember to do quick check-in before and after to see if it's effective. And see you in a couple of minutes with exercise number 4. Now, the exercise number 4 is one of my personal favorite breathing exercises. And I would say one of the most effective ones in general, looking more in the research and in how it's used and so on. And you might know it already. It's called box breathing. It's again follows the pattern of paying attention to inhale and exhale, as most of exercises do. And it's called box breathing because you're simply imagining it as 4 stages of each breath, which are inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. And each of them we can imagine as one side of the box. And each of them is the same size, meaning the same duration, hence the name box breathing. And the idea is you settle on a number to start off and to experiment with it for the first time. I would suggest number 4, like 4, count to 4 or 4 seconds. And with this number in mind, you do all 4 stages of one breath. Oh, there is a bird joining me in this podcast. So you just go 4, count to 4 while you're inhaling. Then stopping, breathing for count of 4. Then exhaling for count of 4, and then holding your breath on kind of empty lungs for count of 4. And then you repeat that cycle. That's one cycle, the 4 stages. Repeat that cycle 10 times ideally. At least 5 to have any effect, but 10 would be ideal. Once you try the exercise out, it's great if with time you build a bit longer period for each of the stages, like 6 seconds, 8 seconds, even 10 seconds maybe. What it should be, it's that it should become mildly challenging for you, at least some of the phases, to actually hold it for so long. For most of people, that will be holding it on empty lungs. But very, very often, that will also be the exhale if we're not used to exhaling so slow. So you're like, and now you're counting, but actually the exhale finished already. So for somebody, extending the exhale so long will be tough. For others, and extending the inhale will be tough. So do notice which phase is the toughest for you, and then choose the number that's mildly challenging in that most difficult stage of the cycle for you. But first time you do it, experiment with 4, so you recognize what stage that is for you and how is it working for you. So with box breathing, I didn't mention, but for all of these exercises, it doesn't really matter if you do them through your nose or through your mouth. So there are some differences, I don't want to go deep into that, but in general, I would recommend doing most of them with nose breathing or nose in, mouth out. Okay, it doesn't really, it's like there are some differences between it. Again, I don't want to dive into it right now, but do shoot me a question if you want to know more. But in general, as a rule of thumb, or do nose, or nose in and out, exhale through your mouth. Now, I would invite you to test the box breathing. Well, that's not maybe the best if you're driving or doing something highly focused, because the first time you do it, you might need to focus a little bit more than for the other exercises. So if you're in that situation, better try it later. But if you're in more peaceful situation, like a walk or listening at home, do pause here, do try it out. Highly recommended, really, really effective exercise. Do remember to do a small self-check-in. How am I doing? Then the exercise. And then again, the small, check-in. How did that go? Now, with that in mind, with one nice deep breath in and out, I hope you tested the box breathing. But with that in mind, we are moving to exercise number 5. And this one is really simple, really short, and really effective. It's considered almost a hack for our body. And it's called physiological sigh. You might have heard about it if you're a fan of Huberman and Huberman Lab and Huberman Podcast, which has amazing information about the body and well-being, very science-based and very long and rich in information. But it brings in amazing, great exercises and information, and they're promoting a lot. This exercise is called physiological sigh. And it's basically a sigh, a type of breath in and out, which when you do, shifts you really fast, like really, really fast in comparison to any other method we have, from sympathetic system to parasympathetic nervous system, which basically means it shifts you from being wired and active and driven and on the move into more relaxed, more calm, more grounded state. So it's really good to do it whenever you want to relax, but also when you want to refocus, even when you want to, get a bit more grounded, when you feel like you got a bit too dispersed. But it's also an effective thing to do if you're doing workouts in the moments of rest. So if you're doing workouts and you have some repetitions where like rough and you need to push hard and you don't do this exercise during that exercise, but immediately after more challenging set of maybe strength training or even fast cardio training, you can do that for faster recovery and coming back to more like grounded breath. And this is how it goes. It's super simple. It just goes with doing a really deep breath in, like filling up your lungs. And then while your lungs are kind of feeling full already, still doing the second breath in, breathing in a little bit more. And then doing a slow, long exhale. This would make sense to do breathing in your nose and breathing out your mouth, but either combination can work. So how that would look like would be something like this. So fast, deep, big breath in, full lungs, and then squeezing it a little bit more with that second. All right? Pushing it a little bit more air into your lungs as much as you can. And then long, long exhale. Even doing just one cycle, one repetition of this will already be great to kind of reset a bit. So if you need a really quick hack, that's the one to go, okay? But if you also want to work on getting a bit more deeper, grounded, calmer, and so on, you can definitely also do this for 5 or 10 cycles of breath, for a minute of this kind of breathing. But don't listen to what I'm saying as instructions. Instead, take this as initial set of ideas and then go and experiment and play what works best for you. Don't judge these exercises in advance just by listening about them. Do them once or ideally twice. Do check in with yourself before and after, and then judge them. And then by all means say, this one is not for me, doesn't really work, not really interested. Or say, hey, this one is awesome, I'll use it more, and then actually put it into your routine and train it. For this, it would be good to choose just one and then go with that one and really make it a habit. That will bring you more value than playing with each. But you need to play first to discover which one works best. So do play. And of course, after testing it once or twice, you might also say, hey, this seems interesting, but I'm not sure. Test it some more. The point is test it with experimenting, with trying out through your experience, not by listening, reading, or learning about it. Now, I'll give you a very quick summary of 5 exercises. I'll invite you again to test them all right after the video if you haven't yet. If you didn't test any and you don't have the chance to test them all right now, at least choose one you will test first. So exercise number 1, we had 4, 7, 8. Breathing in for 4, holding for 7, breathing out for 8. Then the second one we had was about breathing in calm, breathing out tension or anything else. The third one was about gradually raising the ratio, not the ratio, but the length of inhale and exhale, always leaving them in the same ratio. Their exhale is twice longer. So that looked like starting with inhaling for 3, exhaling for 6, for a couple of breaths, then going to 4 versus 8, and then going to 5 versus 10. Then our exercise number 4 was the box breathing, one of my favorites. You could try to do that one. And then the 5th one was physiological sigh. So really effective, quickest hack, something to really have in your toolbox for any dramatic situations you might have when you really need to calm down really fast. Use that one. It's really, really powerful. So now one more time, most of the exercise you want to do, breathing in through your mouth, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth, or nose, both in and out through your nose. As a rule of thumb, that's a good approach to take. And most of them you want to do for 10 breaths to actually have an effect, except for physiological sigh. That one is really quick. And then finally, do remember when picking which exercise to train and take as your new habit and as your new routine, do a little self-check-in before and after. Before doing the exercise, do ask yourself, how am I? Physically, in my energy, in my mood, how do I feel? And then after the exercise, ask, hey, not during, but after, okay? Ask, hey, what actually changed after these 10 breaths? During the exercise, stay really focused, really present, really giving it a chance, focusing on the breath and maybe on counting, and then assess it only after. That will give you the best insights, which exercise really works for you, which one is more effective, which one should you go with. If you take one of these exercises and run with them and actually use them and implement them, I promise that will make a huge difference for you in how you manage your stress, your energy, and your emotion. So if you're not having a breathing exercise routine already, do kick it off. Do use this video as a reminder to kick it off and really make it part of your routine. Very curious about your feedback and thoughts on this. Don't be shy to comment on any of the platforms, or if you're on Happiness Academy newsletter, the best way to share your thoughts, insights, or questions or topics you would like me to record future episodes on, the best way to do that is by replying on one of the newsletters. That will then land directly in my inbox, and it will be the first way of communication that I see. If you're not on Happiness Academy newsletter yet, I would strongly encourage you to join if you want to learn more positive psychology tools and tips and practices such as the one I shared today. I'm sending it weekly, every Thursday, with, again, always different tips and tools and practices. And now, finally, if you're keen on learning more about mindfulness and breathing exercises and so on, you might want to join me in one of the 2 learning experiences related to it. One of them is Learning Getaway, so sort of a retreat with a bit stronger learning program and a bit more kind of purpose-oriented that I'm doing for 1 week in autumn this year in Istria and Croatia, where we will immerse in many, many mindfulness practices, learn some really interesting tools, but also enjoy beautiful environments. So if you want to check more about that, check in the video description or just check on Happiness Academy /getaways. You can find more about it. That's a wonderful place, not just to discover many new practices, but to also really embody them and practice them and make them part of your routine, because we're practicing them many times throughout the week. The second place to learn more is a mindfulness online course that's on demand, so with pre-prepared many exercises and videos that you can access in your own time. That one is launching only in several months, so keep an eye on the newsletter for when that comes. It will be rich in small, quick, effective practices like the one shared today. If you're curious about it and you would like to know first when it launches and you're not on the newsletter, you can also reach out to me in any of the channels, and I'll make sure to notify you once the course is published. Now, thank you for spending this time with me. I'm really curious about what do you want to learn more of, and also which of these exercises resonated most. So please do comment, do send me your info and ideas, and your thoughts on all of this. Thank you for exploring this topic with me. I hope you found some exciting ideas and tools that you will use already today. Remember, they only work if you put them in practice, but then they make all the difference. If you like Happiness Academy podcast, do leave us a rating and a review. It will be really helpful. And if you haven't done it yet, click on the links in the episode description to discover free materials and valuable resources to dive in deeper. See you in the next episode or at the Happiness Academy newsletter.